I live in China, but I'm back in America right now, and wow, am I experiencing culture shock. If you haven't seen me before, hi, my name is Megan. I have been an English teacher for almost 15 years. I hope to share some things about culture or language learning, tips on pronunciation, tips on vocabulary, how to sound more like a native speaker. And I also want to have these times where you can listen and practice your listening skills, maybe learn some new vocabulary, but also we get to talk and share a little bit about culture. Like I said, I'm in America right now, and whew, the culture shock is pretty intense. Actually, it's not culture shock, it's reverse culture shock. We all know what culture shock is. That's when you go to a new country and you're surprised or shocked by what you experience. But not as many people know about reverse culture shock. That's when you come back to your home country after living abroad, and because you got used to your new country's lifestyle, culture, way of living, you're a little bit surprised by the things that are in your own culture. And let me tell you, there are a lot. This always happens when I come back to the States, and I thought I would share a little bit of the difficulties that I've had with reverse culture shock. So the first one that's been really hard for me to get used to is small talk. Ooh, small talk is so difficult for me to do now because I got so used to not doing it in China. And I know everyone will have their own personal opinions or preference, but let me tell you, I kind of like having no small talk. It's led to a couple of embarrassing moments because I'll walk into a coffee shop, I walk straight up to the barista, and I immediately say what I want. I'm like, hi, can I get a flat white? And as I'm saying, hi, can I get a flat white? They're saying, hi, how are you today? And it's always awkward, and I have to stop and remind myself that you can't just walk in and be efficient. You can't just walk in and go, okay, I want this, let's order this, go, next person. In America, things are a lot slower with how you interact with people, maybe because we don't have as big of a population, but I also think it's a lot of the culture. Whenever I talk to some of my friends who are from Europe or who are from other countries, they always say that something about America that they remember, or something that stands out to them, is how friendly Americans are. And by that, they mean we talk a lot. I just went to the pet store today to pick up something for my cat, and as I was waiting in line, I was trying to remind myself, you need to have small talk. You need to have small talk. And by the time I got up there, hi, how are you? How's your day? Blah, 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 blah. We talk about the weather. We talk about, oh, I'm so glad it's Friday. Do you have any plans for the weekend? And it just is something I have to remind myself that we're going to have this small talk, this interaction, every single time. I go to a restaurant, you talk to the waiter. When you go to a store, you talk to the cashier. When you get a coffee, you talk to the barista. It's just kind of endless. However, I will say sometimes it's really nice. The other day I went to get a coffee and the barista was giving me some recommendations, and she said, oh, you should try this one. This one's really good. And sometimes it can be really nice, but I gotta say, I think I kind of prefer China's method of just go in, do what we need to do, and get out. I do like that a lot. Number two, the second thing I always have reverse culture shock about, and this one is embarrassing, is I got used to not saying excuse me. When I live in China, I don't usually say excuse me. It's kind of rare, but here in the States, you're saying it all the time. And it's really embarrassing when I forget. Okay, so let's say you're shopping in a supermarket at a grocery store and someone bumps into you. Maybe, they're just walking past and they accidentally bump you. Not to be mean, it just was an accident. That person should immediately say, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I think that's pretty normal in a lot of countries, but America takes this a step further. If you get close to someone in a supermarket, at a shopping mall, at a restaurant, you're supposed to say, excuse me. So I just went to the store today to pick up some groceries. I was walking past the tomatoes and there was another woman on the other side looking at cucumbers. And she went, oh, excuse me. We were this far away from each other. She didn't touch me, she didn't hurt me, she wasn't in my way, but you're just supposed to apologize for being close to each other. And it's just kind of crazy. As you walk through a supermarket, you're going, excuse me, excuse me. When you walk through a restaurant and you're walking past tables, if you're getting close to someone, you're supposed to say, oh, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And I forget sometimes. And that's not very polite. So again, another thing I have to remind myself about. The third one that's really embarrassing, we're just doing all the ones that make me feel embarrassed, okay? That's what we're doing at the beginning. If someone sneezes in America, you're supposed to say bless you, even if you don't know the person. The other day I was at a coffee shop and I was just working, and there was a girl at the table next to me and she sneezed. I am working, and the lady over here goes, oh, bless you. It's a really common practice that if someone sneezes, you're just supposed to say, bless you. And then the other person will say, thank you. And I always have to remind myself to do that because, repeat after me, I feel embarrassed and I feel rude when I don't do that. The fourth thing that I am kind of struggling with my reverse culture shock, I just get bored of the food at restaurants. Something I love so much about China is that you go to a restaurant in China and you will sit down at the table and you will all just share the food together. You'll order many dishes for the whole table and everyone will share the dishes. But in America, that's not as common to do. Usually you'll go to a restaurant and I will order my food, you will order your food, and he will order his food. And I just get bored halfway through my meal. I finish half of the food and I just think, okay, I'm done. I'm bored. I want to try something different. And I start to look around the table and I think, that one looks good. I want to try that one. Oh, that one looks good. I want to try that one instead. And I really think China, you know what you're doing with this because it's just so much more interesting to try tons of food. And I know a lot of my Chinese friends will even talk about this when we're planning a meal together. They'll say, oh, we should invite so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so because if we have more people, then we get to have more food and we get to try more food. That is a genius way to think. And yeah, I just find myself being bored halfway through every single meal here. So I want to introduce this more to my friends and family about the idea of sharing more because I think it's just a win-win for everybody. Oh, speaking of food, oh my goodness. This is the thing that is driving me crazy. This one should be number one because I have to calm myself down when I go to restaurants because this is so frustrating for me. How do I say this kindly? I hate waiters. Not that I hate waiters, but I hate the system of having waiters instead of QR codes. China, I love your QR codes so much. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I love that I can just sit down and I can scan the QR code, I can immediately see the menu, I can see the prices, I can order, and I can pay before my food arrives. And then I eat my food, and whenever I want to leave, I just get up and leave. Amazing. Perfection. Perfection. Because here in the States, you walk in, the waiter brings you to your table, you wait for the waiter to bring you your drink, you wait for the waiter to bring you your menu, you wait for the waiter to come back and say, okay, what would you like to order? You tell the waiter what you want to order. The food comes, you eat your food, and then the waiter disappears every single time. And you are finished with your meal. You're just sitting there with your friend and you're just, where's our waiter? We want to go. We have another meeting. We're going to meet some friends later, but we can't leave because we can't pay because we can't find our waiter. If you do get your waiter, then they have to bring you the bill. Then you have to look at the bill. Then you have to give them your credit card. Then they take your credit card. Then they bring your credit card back. Then you have to give the tip and then you can leave. This whole process, minimum 20 minutes. Minimum 20 minutes. And I just love so much that in China, you pay for your meal before you've even finished. And then anytime you want to go, just go. You're free. Okay, this next one, I know this in my head, but it's like I forget, or it's like I'm not used to it. Is that everything in the States, especially where I am right now, my family's in Kentucky, everything closes so early. Now, if you're in a big city like New York, you won't experience this, but everything around here is closed by like 9 o'clock. We were at dinner the other day. We finished our food, we waited for the waiter, and we left the restaurant, and my friend was like, "Hey, what are we gonna do now?" And everyone like looked at their watch and said, "What do you mean? What are we gonna do now?" It was like 8:30 or something. And my friend was like, "Yeah, what are we gonna do now?" My friend is not American. And the rest of the Americans were like, "Nothing. Everything's closed. If you can think of something that's open, then we can go do it, but nothing is open. The stores, the restaurants, the bowling alleys, the movie, like everything is just closed so early." So it's kind of boring if you aren't in a big town. And that's something that's really different from China, because it doesn't even matter if you're in a big city or a small city. If you go out at 9 o'clock at night, there are going to be people walking around. There are going to be restaurants open. There's going to be like midnight barbecue, or you can always go to Haidilao. It's always open. I think that's really cool. It's really fun because if you're having a good time with your friends and you want to keep hanging out, you can do that. You can just go to a new location and keep hanging out. And I feel like the only place you can hang out after 9 p.m. is at like a bar. Okay, now this one is something I've never noticed before, but I really noticed it coming back to America this time. No one is on their phones. Like, not no one, but in comparison to what I see in China, it's kind of shocking because in China, I feel like if I'm on the subway, I just see everyone on their phones the whole time. If you go to a restaurant, you see people will like watch TV shows on their phones at the restaurant, or they're just scrolling on TikTok. They're just on their phones kind of all the time. When I came to Kentucky, I thought, nobody's really on their phone. If you are in a restaurant, nobody's on their phone. I thought maybe it's just a small town thing, but I was in New York and I was on the New York subway and I was looking around and people were just standing on the subway or sitting on the subway, not on their phones. Maybe they would talk to their friend, or maybe they were just listening to music or reading a book, like a real book, a physical book, or maybe they were just looking out the window. But people weren't really on their phones. And then I went to California, I went to San Francisco, and it was the same thing. I didn't really see people on their phones. So I think that's something that's kind of interesting to notice, is how many more people are on their phones in China. And I wonder why that is. And I wonder if it's just because of how much of your life is on your phone in China. I mean, you have WeChat where you can call a taxi and you're talking to your boss and you're talking to your friends and you're paying your bills, and like everything is on your phone. I wonder if that influences how much we're on our phone. Maybe you have some ideas about this, but that's just something I noticed this time, that Americans don't use their phones as much as Chinese people do. Oh my goodness, the next one. You can probably tell because I am wearing a sweater and it's summertime because the air conditioning is so cold here. Every place is so cold indoors. Now, I'm in Kentucky, so it is pretty hot outside, but inside the air conditioner is killing me. It is so cold. Everywhere I go, I just wear a sweater or sweatpants. I always have socks. And if I ever leave the house, I always am bringing a jacket with me, because inside the restaurants, inside the supermarket, you're going to freeze. Okay, and I think the last thing that I've noticed that is a little bit hard for me to get used to is how convenient everything is in China regarding shipping and buying things. Because the shipping here takes so long. I live in Shenzhen, so I'm used to just being able to order something and maybe it will arrive the same day. Maybe it'll arrive the next day, no more than 2 days. It's like 2 days max in China. But yeah, here, 2 days is the absolute fastest you could get it. And I placed a Target order the other day. It said it would arrive in 4 days. And it actually took 7 days to arrive. And I just kept checking my email, being like, come on, come on, come on. China could have done this in 2 days. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's a little bit difficult to get used to. So if I need something, I have to make sure that I order it well in advance in order for it to arrive on time. I should probably start going Christmas shopping because it's just gonna take that long to arrive. But those are some of the things that I've kind of noticed and I'm kind of struggling with my reverse culture shock. If you've ever experienced any of these, maybe you've traveled to another country, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you experienced. Do you think any of these things are better or worse as well? Like China's QR systems? Amazing. Love it so much. Love it so much. But I know I've talked to some other people who say they don't really like the QR system. They prefer having a physical menu. I say give me QR systems all the way. If you would like to watch more videos to see a little bit about culture or to just practice your English listening, you can always follow. And I'll also have other videos as well about how to learn English and how to improve your English. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi. Do you want to say anything? Really? What do you like about America? Nothing? Which is better? Chinese cat food or American cat food? You like them all? Okay. Sounds good.